On like looting and whatnot as well here.
Of the people making commentary. Interestingly enough, the ones I've noticed that have been making the commentary are wealthy black people making the commentary about we should not be.
Hold on, I gotta pee. I'll be back. But this is a really good video.
We should not be tearing up our own communities. And then there's been an argument of the other side of we should be hitting them in the pocket. We should be focusing on the blackout days where we don't spend money. But you know, I feel like we should do both. And I feel like I support both. And I'll tell you why I support both. I support both because when you have a civil unrest like this, there are three types of people in the streets. There are the protesters, there are the rioters, and there are the looters. The protesters are there because they actually care about what is happening in the community. They want to raise their voices, and they are there strictly to protest. You have the rioters who are angry, who are anarchists, who really just want to shit up, and that's what they're going to do regardless. And then you have the looters. And the looters almost exclusively are just there to do that, to loot. Now, people are like, well, what did you gain? Well, what did you get from looting? I think that as long as we're focusing on the what, we're not focusing on the why, and that's my issue with that. As long as we're focusing on what they're doing, we're not focusing on why they're doing. And some people are like, well, those aren't people who are legitimately angry about what's happening. Those are people who just want to get stuff. Okay, well then, let's go with that. Let's say that's what it is. Let's ask ourselves why in this country in 2020, the financial gap between poor blacks and the rest of the world is at such a distance that people feel like their only hope and only opportunity to get some of the things that we flaunt and flash in front of them all the time is to walk through a broken glass window and get it. That they are so hopeless that getting that necklace, getting that TV, getting that change, getting that bed, getting that phone, whatever it is that they're gonna get, is that in that moment when the riots happen and if they present an opportunity of looting, that's their only opportunity to get it. We need to be questioning that why. Why are people that poor? Why are people that broke? Why are people that food insecure, that clothing insecure, that they feel like their only shot, that they are shooting their shot by walking through a broken glass window to get what they need. And then people want to talk about, well, there's plenty of people who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and got it on their own. Why can't they do that? Let me explain to you something about economics in America. And I'm so glad that as a child, I got an opportunity to spend time at Push where they taught me this, is that we must never forget that economics was the reason that black people were brought to this country. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that? That's what we came to do. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Now, if I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, that was Rosewood. Those are places where we built black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the f do I give a shit about burning the Football Hall of Fame, about burning the Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give up. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own by our bootstraps in Tulsa and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so your Target, your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Okay. That is probably the most elaborate way to describe 400 years of slavery, racist Jim Crow South, and the intergenerational trauma, the exploitation, and the remnants of said economic inequality within our current structures that we exist under. It's super eloquent. I really like the I really like this video a lot. None of these people are or were ever slaves. You're right, dude. I think going forward, when you say stuff like this, you should basically be signing off a contract for me to enslave you, your father, your entire family, and the 7 generations that come afterwards. Like, if you get to say some fucking, some real Caucasian shit like that, going forward, I'm just going to enslave, rape, and murder your fucking family in a video game, I guess. Since it's not that big of a deal, you seem to not recognize that it's a fucking big deal, then maybe it should happen to you until you understand. Maybe it should happen to you, your children, your children's children, your children's children's children, just, ripped away from their existence, treated like fucking non-humans, and enslaved, raped, murdered, pillaged, robbed of their identity. And then after, maybe then you'll be able to comprehend it. But you won't. You won't be able to comprehend it. It's never going to happen. So shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. All we can do in this circumstance is just like ban morons like this and move on. You know what I mean? So this isn't about, so what is the solution? Easy to criticize history in retrospect, brother. So the problem here, and this is a problem that I see in America all the time, okay, by Americans, is like, you're not supposed to constantly be like, oh my God, I can't believe, I'm so sorry for my ancestors that enslaved yours. Like, you're not supposed to have that like overcorrective, super lib, like performative fucking woke shit, okay? It starts with recognizing the impact that this economic inequality and violence that black people are subjected to has on today's society. But you don't want to have that conversation. You can't even fucking start off by admitting that this is very, very fucking bad. And it still has an impact in contemporary black existence. If you can't fucking start with that, then we can't start having a conversation. Okay? Like, you can't. You don't have to. You don't need to have fucking literally enslaved black people. Or you don't need to have. You don't have to be a literal fucking slave to exist in American society and either reap the benefits of the economic impact that slavery had on American development, or rather suffer the consequences of being born as a black person in the United States or being born as a black person in general. I don't know how to fucking describe this to people who literally refuse. Like, you're just refusing to comprehend that having your identity removed, okay? Having your fucking cultural identity, your ethnic identity, everything removed, stripped away, and having been having been brutalized for fucking decades and decades and decades, centuries and centuries, and enslaved, is not going to give you a significant disadvantage. I just don't know. Like, do you think that the world started the day that you were born? This is where all this shit comes from, okay? The world doesn't start and stop when you go to sleep and then fucking, you start off with a new slate, with a clean slate every morning when you wake up. Even after all of that, if your point of view is like, well, she wasn't literally enslaved, then there's no way. It's so fucking hard to get you to comprehend this shit, you know? Now, this isn't a justification for, burning down Target. Some may misunderstand this. This is an explanation for why people feel like they are not being heard. You understand? Stop saying it is, you fucking, you cringe lefties who are like, it is. We should burn down every Target. Like, shut the fuck up. You literally live in Naperville in a white ass fucking neighborhood away from like literally every black and brown person. And you're talking about it like it's no, it is. It is. Like, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Okay? I'm over it. Like, shut the fuck up. Yes, it is. Burn down Target. It's like, dude, shut up. Anyway. This is simply an explanation as to why people react in such, in certain instances, violent ways against property that can still ultimately be replaced, okay? In yet another instance of unaddressed police brutality. Okay, it's top of the hour. I'm going to run a fucking 60-second ad break here, and we're going to move on from this to some other news stories, which there's plenty of today. So, Naperville is the new DMZ. No, Naperville is a perfect example because of its proximity to Chicago and its demographic and socioeconomic makeup. That's why I always use Naperville as an example. It's like Ann Arbor is another good example. Okay, motherfuckers who live in Ann Arbor, but then like turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Detroit, bro. I'm from Flint, bro." Like, no, you're not. You're from Ann Arbor. Okay, you grew up in Ann Arbor in a very wealthy neighborhood. And your parents are doctors. Like, shut the fuck up. The same exact thing happened to you. You grew up in fucking Naperville in a like predominantly white neighborhood in a mostly white fucking school, and now you're saying you went to Chicago. Like, you grew up in fucking Chicago. Like, you didn't. Anyway. Okay. No, I ran an ad before. It's just my second of the day now. Here's a 1 minute ad. You no longer want to see the ads. All you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription a month. Here's the ad now. Thank you for saying this. I'm from actual Chicago and I deal with this all the time. Okay. Malibu's most wanted type beat. Yeah, I already finished the video I just went back and scaled it back to a place where she's on camera for a second. Okay.